Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be tracking for the possibility for a couple rounds of severe weather. It's not going to be anything significant or anything like that. But for the areas that could see some severe weather over the next several days, that may be going on across parts of the Southern Plains and probably going into parts of the Ohio Valley later this week as well. So these are kind of the general areas that may need to watch for severe weather. Actually, probably not for Iowa. Probably something like this or something like that. But it's going to be a little bit of a widespread. Well, it's not going to be widespread, but we'll probably see some severe weather over the next several days. But the good news is we do not expect any significant severe weather out of these upcoming events. But it seems like over the next several days there will be a chance for severe weather somewhere in the United States. So let's go ahead and get started with the Storm Prediction Center outlook here. And as you can see here, we do have a margin of risk for severe weather across parts of south central South Dakota. And no tornado threat, just hail. Looks to be your primary threat. Then tomorrow, we got slight risk for severe weather across parts of western Texas, central western Oklahoma, up into southern Kansas here. Here's your tornado probability. We actually got two areas of 5%. You got one area across, looks to be southwestern Oklahoma into west central Texas, and you got one across south central Texas. Damaging winds will also be there, but it seems like the biggest threat of all of them is going to be the hail, especially some of these areas could see very large hail as well. With that, then moving on to day three, we got a pretty large margin of risk anywhere from the Texas-Mexico border all the way up to close to the Indiana and Ohio border or Michigan border there. So quite a large margin of risk, but I would not be surprised if this at least expands a little bit further to the southeast here just by looking to some of the latest trends on the models. And we may see a Slackers upgrade somewhere in this region as well. So let's check out some models here. So we're going to start off with the HER model. We're going to skip tonight. It's not looking to be a big deal event. So we're going to go ahead and get straight to tomorrow. And as you can see here, the HER does predict that there may be some pretty decent thunderstorms. Looks to be kind of along the Interstate 35 corridor here. Looks like some small hail, maybe some gusty winds with some of those storms. You got some scattered showers of storms across western Oklahoma and parts of the Texas Panhandle. We're at to monitor this area here for probably for some big time thunderstorms. It really starts to get going later into the overnight hours. So this is 6Z, so this may be like 1 o'clock in the morning for some of these areas in here in Central Time. And you can see here we do have some hailstorms out there and across parts of west central Texas into southwestern Oklahoma. And you can see how these storms kind of continue to increase in coverage here, and also looks like they kind of get to be as strong as looks to be in the middle of the night here. This is probably getting to like 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, getting to the early morning hours. And we do have to watch this area here for storms that could be training over some of the same areas. We'll be talking about the flash flooding threat that may come up here with this setup here. More storms keep on forming across parts of south central Texas as well, getting into Wednesday. And that's pretty much the end of the run right there. And you can see here parts of southeastern Oklahoma, northern Arkansas may be dealing with some multiple rounds of showers of thunderstorms, where some of those could be strong, but the main issue is going to be that flash flooding threat because these storms will be putting down a lot of rain, and those dew points are going to be pretty high in some places. Some places may even see a dew point of 71, and that's a lot of moisture to work with. So these storms will be putting down a lot of rain in a hurry. So that's going to be kind of my main concern here, especially with those high dew points that we're going to have here. That's a lot of moisture to work with as well. We'll check out the significant tornado parameters from the HER, and you can see here it really starts to go off across southwest central Texas here. We'll get a sounding out here. And you can see here, it's got a pretty wow. This is actually a pretty good sounding here. Looks to be favorable for all hazards. You actually got a pretty good hodograph out there as well. And I don't think it did show. Well, I think it showed one or two storms, but I think that was a little early on. But yeah, we definitely need to watch for southwest central Texas here. It's even indicating a strong tornado threat out there, which is interesting. Gets even better when you get along the Texas and Mexico border. And it looks like we may have a cap issue right there too. But we're going to see how those updrafts will go. If the updrafts could be strong enough, it can just go through the cap. So we'll see what happens there. Even some of these significatory parameters do go into southern Oklahoma. And really for a 1, you got a little bit of a tornado threat going on here. And as you can see here, yeah, it'll be favorable for maybe a weak tornado at least. You got a decent hodograph. You do have plenty of story to Felicity. Your critical angle numbers at 60. So this is a pretty decent sounding. You also got wind direction of height as well in the low levels there as well. It looks like you got a pretty decent low of a jet too. So that would be favorable for a little bit of a tornado threat. And this is getting into Wednesday. You do have some significant tornado parameters getting up into the lower Hall Valley region. Even some back here across parts of Arkansas. And you can see here, yeah, that's a pretty good sounding. And check out that dew point, 71. In a precipitable water, it's close to 2 inches, so these storms will be producing a lot of rain. However, with the tornado threat, the storm to Felicity numbers are actually pretty low, so that will keep the tornado threat pretty small. So just to keep in mind that. If you guys do not know where I'm talking about here, which I should have my pen out. SRH, that's your storm to Felicity here. This kind of gives an indication of rotating thunderstorms out there. And the number's pretty low. Typically, you want above 150. In this case, we're actually below 150, so it's not favorable for rotating thunderstorms. So really, the primary threat with this setup here will probably be some hail and maybe some gusty winds as well. But it's still something to watch here as well. And your significant tornado parameters do go back across parts of Texas as well. And we'll move up to around Nebraska, Kansas. It's looking interesting up here on the same day here. A couple models are hinting on a couple big storms up there, which I won't talk much about this because I know I probably do not have any viewers up here, but we'll briefly talk about it. You can see here it shows like 3 supercells out there across southern Nebraska. So that's quite interesting there. We'll try to get sounding here. And oh wow, that's all over the place there. That's not a good one. It's a little bit of a cursed sounding there. We'll try to get a good sounding here. And it looks like we're not going to get any luck with it, but we'll try one more time. Yeah, it looks like we can. Looks like a lot of stuff could happen here, but you're storing it to Felicity. At least in the low levels, it's not that great, but in the mid levels, it looks to be favorable. It looks like we got a lot of wind direction of height going on here. Wow. Yeah, we definitely have to monitor these areas as well here for a possibility for all hazards. There's going to be a cold air aloft here, and I believe that's going to be a low pressure system right there. Or that's just an MCV spinning around there somewhere out here in the zone in here. So we'll watch for south central Nebraska, well, southern Nebraska as well. So what's the high-res name say about tomorrow? Well, let's take a look to that. And you can see here, does show a couple of good storms out here across southwest Oklahoma and north central Texas. And that's where we had that really photogenic tornado not long ago. That was definitely the most photogenic tornado we ever had so far this year. Um, if you guys haven't seen it on social media, yeah, you're missing out on that tornado. I mean, it's been over my Twitter feed for the last couple of days. But anyways, Looks like we could have a couple of good storms out there. And then it looks like it may have a cluster of thunderstorms that at least tries to come blow up in southern parts of the Texas Panhandle, and it kind of fizzles out a little bit. And it does leave some boundaries behind, so that can lead to more storm development. As you can see here, that's exactly what it's doing. It's left some boundaries behind, so that's where some new storms can blow up as the environment kind of regenerates. It looks like it may have a decent squall line here. It actually shows two different squall lines here, but I don't think that's going to happen there. But I think if there's going to be a squall line, it's just going to be all at one. And then again, you can see our storms training over some of the same areas as well. We definitely have to watch for that. And like I said, that there's going to be the dew point numbers are going to be pretty high. The precipitable water is also going to be pretty high, so we definitely need to watch for the potential for some flash flooding too. It's got some pretty big storms across south central Texas there. Got some pretty decent storms up across western Oklahoma, so it's going to be widespread, but it's going to be isolated severe, to put it that way, on Wednesday. There's maybe a chance for severe weather as far northeast as parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania. So it's going to be a widespread event on Wednesday, but most of your severe weather is expected to be isolated. We may have a couple slight risks in a few areas in here. We're just going to see what the models are going to show here over the next couple of runs, and we'll probably have a pretty good idea with it later on. And again, it shows some pretty big thunderstorms out across a good chunk of Texas there in southeastern Oklahoma as well. We'll check out the significant tornado parameters. You can see here, not as great as the HER model was showing. Actually, no, never mind. Bam, there it is. Well, it's actually still not as good as the, not as aggressive as the HER model, but it still shows a favorable environment here for really all hazards anyways. You actually got a pretty decent elevated mix layer here, which actually help keep your CAPE numbers going up, which is at the surface is 3,000, so that's good for some severe weather. Storm to felicity numbers, that's over 300, so that's favorable. You got a decent amount of lap rates here at some parts here, except for 3 to 6 kilometers there. That's not favorable, but the other parts, it's favorable, so that can lead to a large hail threat. Uh, Downdraft Cape, I think that's what it's called, D Cape right there, 681, so that'll be favorable for some damaging winds. He also got a pretty good hodograph here too, as well. So this is a pretty decent sounding overall here, and this will be favorable for all hazards here. And you can see here, some of the significant tornado parameters do go up in two parts of central Oklahoma too. We'll get one more sounding out of there. You can see there, still a decent sounding too. Looks like it'll be favorable for a tornado threat too. Uh, you can see you got a decent hodograph here. You actually got wind direction of height here going on. Decent amount of cape going on. Looks like it'll be favorable for some damaging winds. Overall, this is not a bad sounding either. Probably favorable for at least for maybe a weak tornado. You may get some gusty winds as well, maybe some small hail with that. And actually, the significant tornado parameters do go up for parts of northwestern Arkansas here too. And you can see here, it's another good sounding too. Yep, this is a pretty good sounding here. Pretty much just like the last one here, but a little bit better with that there. And then whenever Texas kind of blows up right here, down here, if I can get to that point there. Interested to see what's got going on down there. Yep. Oh yeah, looks like you can get some big time thunderstorms. Oh boy. Your equinox is way up there. We can have some pretty tall thunderstorms. Uh, you got a really good holograph, so this is favorable for some big time supercells out here. So that's going to be really interesting to watch here, see how that's going to pan out if the highest name is going to be correct. There could be some big time supercells out there. Probably has some very large hail, maybe tornadoes out there, and maybe for even damaging winds too. And you can see those significant parameters do get up into the lower Ohio Valley as well. So now we're going to shift up into the Ohio Valley, and you can see here, like I was talking about here, you do have some decent thunderstorms as far northeast as parts of Ohio. Got some thunderstorm action back here, but I think the severe weather threat should stay low for those storms. Um, I think a strong storm cannot be ruled out, but we'll see about that. You got some decent thunderstorms out across parts of Kentucky here. This is a kind of an area we may have to monitor here. That's where the models are hinting on probably some of the better agreements could be in place here. Um, Wednesday, and I believe into Thursday, stops there. We'll take a look to those significant weather parameters, and you can see here, do have some decent numbers up across parts of northeastern Ohio. We'll get a sounding up there. So what it's got for us. It's actually a pretty good one too. Not a whole lot of wind varying high. Well, actually there's some right there. You get winds from the southwest, and then you get winds coming from the west there. So that ain't bad. So yeah, this actually be favorable for maybe a small tornado risk here. And it looks like we probably have a little bit of a low level jet too. So this actually would be favorable for maybe a small tornado threat, maybe some hail too to go along with it, and maybe some gusty winds out of it too. But again, a small severe weather risk there. We'll get one into parts of Kentucky. See what we got down here. And basically it looks to be the same way as the one up into northeastern Ohio. So again, probably a low end severe weather risk there too. And we'll actually shift over to the NAM here since we're getting a little bit further out. And you can see here, with all these storms here training over some of the same areas here, it kind of continues over for several hours. And then we got Thursday to watch here too. The NAMAL's being pretty aggressive here for Thursday. It's got a pretty favorable environment for severe weather across parts of Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia here, which I know some of these areas haven't seen severe weather in a long, long time. It has been a long time since some of these areas seen some severe weather. Now, some of these areas did experience severe weather earlier this month, but most of these guys really haven't seen much in the way of severe weather. But we'll check out the significant weather parameters, and again, it's going to be pretty aggressive with it, especially when you look into the superset composite numbers. So 2.8 kind of along the Ohio River there. You can see here, yeah, pretty aggressive here. Uh, I will not buy this yet. I will not buy it yet. But you got a pretty large curve on the hodograph there. Plenty of soriative helicity here. So if this is correct, we may have a chance for maybe a strong tornado risk. And models do hint on a pretty decent low of a jet as well. Not only from the NAM, but also from the GFS and the European model. Both do show a pretty good low of a jet too. That's somebody that mentioned on Twitter that I've seen earlier here. So we probably have to monitor these areas here closely here on Thursday there to see how things will pan out for some of these places here. But we'll have a better idea as we get closer to the event and wherever we get some more model data in here. So like I was talking about the rainfall, yeah, this is till like Thursday night. Check out these rainfall totals here shown by the NAM. It's got some places that could pick up 5.6 inches of rain. Some places close to 6 inches of rain as well. So could be a little bit overdone, but having the high dew point numbers and also the high precipitable water numbers, yeah, these storms will be putting down a lot of rain. So these rainfall totals may actually be a little bit accurate here. But this is a little bit further south than what the other models are showing. This is the European model. This is all over the place, and it's not been performing well with rainfall totals. And also for the placement here, it actually keeps it further north, up across parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, up into Pennsylvania. Then maybe a little too far north. It's also got some places back across northeastern Texas, southwestern Arkansas, southeastern Oklahoma, where some places could see up to 5 inches of rain. In the GFS, it's kind of in between here of the two models here. You can see here it's got some places that could see 5.6 inches of rain, even going back as far south as parts of north central Texas. So these will be the areas here we definitely need to watch here for the possibility for some flash flooding, especially again of how much moisture there's going to be around. This is the Weather Prediction Center's thoughts here, and you can see here areas in red here is where they predict probably some of the most of the rain could be. So generally 2 to 3 inches rain. They may move us a little further to southeast, but it's just really going to depend on the trends of the models here over the next couple of days. But anyways, guys, there's our for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. If you already like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, you can put in the comment section down below. I answer you guys questions. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.